There was a time, long ago, when a wise king sat upon a mighty throne. For many years, his realm grew and prospered, and the people lived under skies of peace and plenty. Yet there came a day when the rumor of war reached the ear of the king. He gathered his finest knights about him and assembled a great host. On the western reaches of the realm, the two armies met. As the day neared its end, the king, his brother the prince, and 6 of his bravest knights repulsed the final charge of the enemy. The day was won, but with the death of the prince, the kingdom was without a champion. As the king and his captains neared the walls of the great city, the entire realm turned out to cheer their return.
All right, let's go, gentlemen. Mount up. Show starts in 1 minute. Where's the rest of the squires? Let's go.
Ready to roll? All right, start fog. Pyro set. All right, and here we go.
In order to put on a successful show every night, it requires a huge staff. There's all of the people in the technical roles, the lighting, the sound, the special effects. There's all of the food servers and operational staff. There's a great deal of activity backstage, and what you see outside in the arena is a direct result of all of those elements coming together.
This is the overture to my medieval times music, and it's a pretty important part of the show because the idea of the overture is to really set up themes that you're going to hear through the whole show. I tried to do something exciting, something big and important, but also there's an element of fun in this music, I hope, because that's really what the show is about. It's adventure, but it's fun. I'm kind of happy with the way this overture turned out.
It's showtime.
Let the word go forth that a feast and tournament is to be held, and the king's champion chosen.
Oh, there is much to do, sire.
Then let us away, my lords.
I would have you raise a mighty cheer
For the gallant Yellow Knight!
Every night in the show has a musical theme as well as a kind of personality unto themselves. Yellow Knight was a very Spanish knight. The Blue Knight, he's the youngest knight. The Black and White Knight, he's a warrior priest. The Red and Yellow Knight is quite confident, full of himself sort of way, but there's a fun side to the Red and Yellow Knight. The Red Knight is a very high adventure, hot-blooded, tempestuous. He's filled with vim and vigor. The Green Knight is a mercenary, and his loyalty is whoever pays him the most. These knights' themes really represent a real difference in medieval times, that they really wanted personalities for each of the knights.
And now, Your Majesty, the members of your court have arranged some entertainment for you and your guests with your permissions.
By all means, my lord, let the entertainment begin.
Herald some of the guards to open the gates.
I think without the horses, we don't have a show. I think the horses make us a living here. Without them, this is nothing. Horses are a dream. There's something about a white horse that has always created an illusion. We try to help with that illusion here, and I think it works.
This particular scene, there are 4 horsemen that do all of these coordinated, synchronized moves. It's really like a ballet, and you hear it's kind of like a waltz, very elegant and stylized. It's a unique thing to come to something like medieval times and see adventure and excitement and drama, but you also see beauty and grace, just unusual skill at horsemanship. You can tell just by the way he handles the horse and his facial expression that he's completely in control and he completely knows what's going on.
There is one thing about training a horse is you cannot train a horse to do something that he doesn't already naturally do in nature. So all you're doing when you're really training a horse is taking what he naturally does in nature and putting a cue to it. I mean, you can make him lay down and sit up and pick things up and rear and bow and back up and go up and down steps. It's unlimited.
Generally, the hardest tricks are the easiest to train. The simplicity of it is the hardest part to train. To get a horse excited and to jump around and to be nervous looking is easy to do, but to get him to do it on command quietly is very difficult to do.
Start the horses at 3 years old, the Andalusians, and then they go up to 16, 17 years old. By the time they're about 15, 16, 17, we start trying to find them homes or take them to the ranch. It's Chapel Creek. It's owned by Medieval Times, and we raise our own horses there. When we just had 1 or 2 castles, you could buy horses from other people. It's a lot harder to supply 7 castles with 10, 12 Andalusians at least per castle. So they decided to buy this ranch in Dallas, and they raise their own Andalusian horses there. It's a gorgeous place. It's really neat because when the sun comes up, you have all the moisture in the air, so you get that kind of like a little rainbow, smoky kind of effect. Babies are all out there, and they're funny because something will set them off, and one will start bucking and kicking, and then the other one will take off, and then they all take off and run. It's just really neat because it's so pretty out there.
We're looking for a star in a horse. He has to have a certain presence and a certain energy and a certain level of beauty and charisma. That translates to the audience. Just any horse won't do. He can be made into a star, but he has to have a certain thing to begin with, or none of it works.
Now tell me, would you see some sport? Very well, then to the arena we summon forth my lord the King of Arms.
As far as the games go, they were performed at tournaments for the enjoyment of the audience, but it also honed all their skills with the weapons they'd be using in the combat.
We do water balloon class where they have a water balloon and they have to throw it back and forth, so they learn to keep their balance and handle things in their hands without jerking the horse in the mouth.
Majesty, your victors in this final game are the Red Knight, the Green Knight, the Black and White Knight, the Red and Yellow Knight, the Yellow Knight, and the Blue Knight.
My lord, let the victors ride forward and receive their due. Princess Esperanza!
The princess is life. The princess is romance. You sense in her lines and in her delivery a young girl who's in love, who's at the center of this great celebration that she's prepared for a long time. And she's got the added joy of the possibility that her boyfriend might not only win the tournament, but be able to take her hand in marriage, which is what she ultimately wants. So she represents light and good in the script.
And now, Lord Marshal, you have our leave to retire the knights and see that they are prepared for the joust.
And they shall be prepared, your grace. My noble lords, you have leave to retire.
My lords, my ladies, raise a cheer for the Knights of the Realm!
Greetings once again, Your Majesty.
Why, Cedric, old friend, at last you return to us. What news do you bring?
The wizard represents the mystery and the fantasy, but we also use him as a vehicle to inform the king that something is amiss.
Betrayal and treachery, Your Majesty, a faithless ally and slayer of your kin.
Tell us what you have seen.
The prince, slain unjustly by a rebellious hand, by the finest knight in your service.
Impossible!
Yet beware. There is one whose heart has become twisted, and whose ambition knows no bound.
Old man, your counsel and your aid are always welcome, but I cannot forsake my trust in these brave companions. Not even to avenge my brother.
Yet fear not, Your Majesty. The death of your brother shall be avenged.
Could it be true, Father?
Fear not, my love, all will be well. Heralds, summon forth my Lord Marshal and the Chancellor.
The wizard is also a tool of theater to cover operational requirements when they're going backstage. He's a transitional scene between the two things. He also sets up the mystery plot that's going to work itself out by the end of the show.
Take your places. At the trumpet's blast, lay on.
Certainly the most dangerous part of being a knight at medieval times are the horse stunts. This horse that he just jumped off of runs about 20 to 25 miles an hour. We have horses here that run 30 or 35 miles an hour.
This is all an era of hand-to-hand combat. In order to beat your opponent, you had to get right in his face and get some on you. This is a boxing match with guys with short, deadly weapons. These are gladiators, basically. Even if the combatant doesn't die on the field, there's a very good possibility he'll die from his wounds.
The weapons that we use here are fully functional. They could be used in a real fight. We dull the edges so they won't cut you if they do hit you, but you could see by the nicks and the gouges that we do hit quite hard.
Along with every head, leg, shoulder strike that Tim and the other head knights teach, there's, a kick, a flip, a fall. These would have all been required from knights.
So if you find yourself over here, pushing with the blade, pull it out, he drops dead center, Steve comes in, because all this lighting is oriented to the middle.
The fights are almost like a dance. Every move, every sword swing, every kick, every fall off a horse is predetermined.
Start again and use your voice when you attack. We use 10 different weapons. We use two-handed swords, one-handed sword, sword and shield, small axe, a medium-sized two-handed axe. We use a giant axe, which is about 9 foot long. We use 9-foot spears. We use a small one-handed bola, a large two-handed bola. As well made as it is, will only last us about 2 months before we will retire it. We don't wait for it to actually break before we replace it. The most difficult weapon to use is the one-handed sword fighting on horseback, obviously, because you have to ride a horse and your opponent has to control his horse and you're having to sword fight at the same time. So it's one of the most difficult things to learn is to fight safely on a horse because you have to fight so hard, but you have to ride easy.
With the knights and the writer of the show, Lee Cordner, and the head knight, Tim Baker. He said, we want rhythms. We want very, very determined beats to fight to. So I purposely made a classical kind of sound to the music, but I made sure there were lots of very definite beats.
What manner of treason is this?
Where is the traitor?
Your sword.
Stay there, blade. Squires, seize this wretch. Bind his hands tightly. Bind them quickly. Now, drag this dog to his feet and stand him before the justice of Alfonso the Conqueror.
The dogma here at Medieval Times is safety, 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 and you achieve that through practice, practice, practice.
Lord Marshal, I have given you my respect and my friendship, and in return, you have betrayed my trust with murder and treason. You will beg for my mercy now, on your knees.
And that's when you say no, or never, or I kneel to no man.
On your knees! Never! Champion, teach this
is
ignorant
when you put the dirt on your
some
foot.
manners.
And the dirt, in the face. Okay, and then I'm like, then you hit me. Ooh, and down we go. Now, fall all the way back, and then you guys pop me up again. Okay? Anytime I hit, you just keep pulling me up.
We have ridden together for many years and fought countless battles side by side. Your fate now rests in my hands.
When I'm in the middle and I've got the sword and I'm listening to the whole thing, and he says, what are we going to do?
But what path remains open to me now?
We're going to kill him, right? We're going to kill him. He's going to die, right? Let me do it. I want to do it. We're going to kill him. I'm trying to get everyone else involved in the whole let's kill him thing.
Ladies, shall he live or shall he die? And you shall die!
Executioner! Come forth, my lord, perform your grisly office. Lay on the lash, my dread lord. Drag him in irons to the dungeon below, there to break him upon the wheel. You are doomed!
To your task, my dread lord.
It's chivalry, romance.
You have captured my heart.
Fame, honor, fortune, glory. But until you see it performed live with real weapons, real horses, the clash of arms, the smoke, the fire, all of that has to be seen live. Understanding these are real people in real situations fighting with real weapons on real horses. There's nowhere else in the world that you can live that experience.
Safe travel, and pray you return here soon to Medieval Time!
There was a time long ago when peace and goodness concealed a dark secret.
A betrayal is revealed. The wizard predicts doom. A princess professes love. And the crowd celebrates with their king. A tournament reveals more than just victory. It's an all-new spectacle. And it's happening now at Medieval Times Dinner and Tournament.